Today, I would like to talk about efficient sampling strategies for multi-objective adaptive surrogate modeling based optimization. This is an outline of today's talk. Introduction will contain why this study is necessary. After that, I will talk about the algorithm for overall code and sampling strategies. We have 3 test problems to demonstrate the performance of our code, and I will present conclusion with future work. Let's see the introduction first. Design optimization often involves a large number of high-fidelity model evaluation, which is computationally expensive. Surrogate modeling-based optimization is a well-established method to mitigate the computational burden for solving high-fidelity optimization problems. And smart refining techniques for improving surrogate accuracy improve effectiveness in reducing the computational cost. Practical engineering design problems often have multiple design objectives, and some objectives conflict with each other. For example, we can think of performance and cost. Therefore, the decision problem involves a trade-off between conflicting objectives, which eventually generates a set of Pareto optimal solutions rather than converged into a single solution. So, the surrogate models for multi-objective problems need to obtain a set of Pareto optimal solutions. Our MO-ASMO algorithm is classified as a feasible method. Infeasible SMBO methods are not useful when it is impossible or difficult to obtain the objective function values outside the feasible region. Also, for some problems, feasibility evaluation can be separated from the expensive objective function evaluations, such as slope constraints on the meshed surface given in this figure. So, these motivations led us to develop a specific MO-ASMO framework, which is efficient for solving certain problems. Now, let's talk about the methods used in our study. This is an overview of our MO-ASMO framework. First, initial samples are generated and distributed in the feasible design domain. High-fidelity model evaluation is performed. A surrogate model is constructed using a radial basis function based on the result of the high-fidelity model. And a multi-objective optimization is performed using the constructed surrogate model. Solutions obtained from the surrogate model are validated by comparing to the high-fidelity results. Evaluate stop criteria, and if solutions do not meet the criteria, then new samples are created in these 2 ways. First one is exploration, and the second one is exploitation. Let's talk about the exploration sample first. Exploration sampling is performed both at initial and update sampling stages to explore feasible but unknown design space. We have 2 challenges to address in our method. First, random or design of experiment type sampling strategies such as Latin hypercube space filling are not efficient for extremely small or narrow feasible regions. Second, new exploration samples should not be located near known points generated during previous iterations. This optimization subproblem addresses these 2 sampling challenges. We have 2 stages of generating sample points. To respond these 2 challenges here, fill the space first and optimally relocate the points. Simply filling is performed by Latin hypercube method here, or can be performed with any kind of space filling techniques instead. Next, those generated points are optimized to minimize relocation distance and maximize distance from existing known design points, while all the constraints are enforced. After having the initial samples with exploration sampling algorithm, we could easily obtain Pareto optimal solutions using the surrogate model, and now we need to validate the solution here. Surrogate model needs to be accurate only in the vicinity of the predicted Pareto set. Checking solution accuracy also requires expensive high-fidelity function evaluations. To reduce validation computation expense, we need to select a small number of sample designs that are on the predicted Pareto optimal solution set. We can select a small number of sample designs with following steps. We select extreme points, such as anchor point in the objective function space. For the remaining points, we eliminate points located closer to other points until we have targeted number of points. And we merge them to get a set of samples for validation. Now, let's talk about exploitation sampling. New sample points are needed when the solution accuracy does not satisfy the specified tolerance. For updating the surrogate, we need both exploration and exploitation. We covered exploration previously, so here, let's talk about the exploitation. New points need to exploit the region near but not on the hypersurface of the previously predicted Pareto set. For this purpose, force-directed layout technique is used to locate points more uniformly. Two types of forces are acting on the generated sample points, and virtual dynamics simulation is performed until the equilibrium of forces. First, these red circles represent the predicted Pareto set. Cluster centers are computed using K-mean or other clustering algorithm, and U sample is initially located near each cluster center. And then an attractive force is acting between each new sample and cluster center, while a repulsive force is acting between each new sample and all the predicted Pareto set. Dynamic simulation is performed to optimally locate these new samples until we reach to the equilibrium of forces. Now, let's see the results. First one is the Oslicka-Kundu problem. This problem is a well-known constrained multi-objective optimization benchmark problem. We chose this problem because it is in algebraic form, has 6 design variables, 2 objective functions, and 6 inequality constraints, which make the shape of Pareto frontier non-smooth. All constraints can be separated from objective function computation. These figures show the process of solution convergence over 20 iterations with 378 function evaluations. The solutions computed by our MO-ASMO is compared to the solution of NSGA2 algorithm in the left figure. Conventional NSGA2 algorithm required 400,000 function evaluations to get a comparable solution, while our algorithm only required 378 function evaluations. Next one is the valley-shaped constraint problem. We developed a new test problem to test management of tightly constrained feasible domains. This problem has 2 design variables, 2 objective functions, and 1 very tight and challenging constraint function in all algebraic forms. The objective function is highly oscillatory as defined with the level sets in the top 2 figures. Black narrow region is the only feasible domain, but we assume that we don't know where the feasible region is located. And the constraint function is poorly scaled, defined with the well-known Rosenbrock banana function. Small gray region on the left figure is the feasible region, while the surface contour shows the whole constraint function shape. The right figure shows a magnified view of the response behavior in the feasible region. Small black markers represent the true Pareto set in this figure. Using our algorithm, the problem was converged at 6 iterations with 85 function evaluations, while NSJ2 algorithm struggled and required 570,000 times of function evaluations. The last one is the design problem of a quarter car suspension with viscoelastic damper. We developed this test problem to demonstrate applicability of the algorithm to realistic and computationally expensive engineering problems. We replaced the linear damper between the sprung and unsprung masses in a quarter car model with a viscoelastic damper to improve vibration isolation performance. We have two competing objectives, a comfort matrix and a handling performance matrix. The viscoelastic relaxation force is computed by a convolution integral term with a history of the state variables, which make the problem computationally expensive. We developed this problem in conjunction with our previous studies related to the material function designs. We previously set viscoelastic material function as design target for designing vibration isolator problem. And also we utilized simultaneous direct optimal control methodologies to optimize the material function for obtaining optimal system level performance. This quarter car suspension design problem using viscoelastic damper is an extension of our previous studies, although this paper does not go in depth on the technical part of modeling viscoelasticity for design. The convergence plot is shown in the left figure. Depending on the model complexity, solution converged in about 10 to 100 iterations with 100 to 5,000 function evaluations. Pareto optimal solutions are shown in the right figures. Since the dynamic model of the quarter car demands a convolution integral for each time step, the computational cost is quite expensive, and direct optimization is nearly impossible within our limited computing resources. This is why we can't compare our results to solutions of direct optimization. Thus, our new algorithm was successfully reduced the computational cost for this problem, and all obtained solutions for different modes converged to almost identical solutions, which reflects the algorithm worked for different parameterizations correctly. Before conclude our presentation, one thing needs to be discussed. We found that our algorithm had a drawback when feasible reason is especially too small. When the feasible reason is reasonably large, there is no problem. However, if it is small, most of the training points end up to relocate it on the boundary of feasible reason, but do not penetrate interior. So, we are currently investigating a possibility of utilizing a support vector domain description method as an alternative. These are conclusions. We developed a MO-ASMO algorithm for constrained multi-objective optimization problems. It is very efficient when the constraints are independently solvable and cheap, while the objective functions are expensive. We developed efficient sampling strategies for exploration and exploitation. All the constraints are enforced before training Surrogate, not to waste expensive high-fidelity computation results, and tested using these three challenging problems. Balancing exploration and exploitation is still need to be addressed, and sampling interior of narrow feasible reason is to be studied. I would like to acknowledge the continuous support from NSF and also research groups of Professor Ewoldt and Professor Allison. Codes and data are available at the link given here. Thank you.